Hi, Gary. This is Leslie. Gary, do you hear me? Can I ask you to turn your camera off until it's time for your board agenda item to come up? Do you know how to do that?
Are you talking to me, Leslie? This is John Smith.
Yeah. Oh, John, I'm sorry. I thought it said Gary on there. You're right.
No,
It does say John. Sorry.
I will gladly turn my
Okay.
camera
We
off
just
and
find
my,
it less distracting if just the board members and who's ever speaking to an agenda item at that time are on camera. Thank you, John. Tiffany, do you have the scoreboard open so that you can see the votes and motions?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I show 5:30. So we can reconvene to open session, 5:30. Board met in closed session, but no action was taken. So we can move on to the flag salute. And Mr. Peterson, would you like to lead us?
Ready, salute. I
I
pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And that was probably the most important pledge in a long time.
Well, thank you, Mr. Peterson. Move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No,
move-
Mrs. Pickle, there aren't.
Okay.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the vote unless there are any questions regarding the agenda.
Leslie, I'm an aye. I'm gonna get my meeting going up, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can go ahead and call for the vote then.
Same, Leslie. I'm just getting Chrome up right now.
I have that, Mr. Swigard.
There we go.
And motion passes 5-0. Next, we have AHS Visual and Performing Arts Showcase. Mr. Theodosio?
Right.
Good evening, President Pickle, Superintendent Peterson, board members, and MUHSD community. Brett Theodosio, and I'm principal at Atwater High School. Thank you for the opportunity to showcase one of our fine programs this evening. Tonight, we will be watching a video developed by our visual and performing arts programs at Atwater High School. The short video was produced by Ms. Julianne Aguilar, Atwater High School Film and Theater Arts teacher, with students from the photography, drama, and band programs. The short video will highlight how the arts at Atwater High School have adapted and persevered in the distance learning environment we've been in this year. This time I'm going to share my screen and start it up for you.
I am so glad that Atwater High decided to do our virtual photography showcase this year. I've never been a part of something like that, and it was just so amazing to see my work put out there and read all the amazing comments that I received. It's just mind-blowing to me that it was able to reach that many people and that there was actually so many people that were interested in seeing our work.
In a normal show, we would have been limited to showing our work to only people from the school or in the local community. So it was really cool to be able to send the link to the website out to anywhere. And I think the entire show just really motivated the kids to keep creating work, keep taking pictures, even in these strange times that we're in right now.
Honestly, one of the best factors of the VBS show was how other people could see my work. They could react to my work and they would give feedback on my work. And a lot of positive feedback too. So that gave me a lot of confidence and I'm doing pretty well. And I didn't think I'd be come in first place, but it ended up happening. So that's why I like the VPS show.
What's up, Atwater High School Advanced Drama class? My name is Austin Scott. I played Alexander Hamilton for 2 years, one on the first national tour and one on Broadway. This message is coming to you from your teacher, Mrs. A. And I just wanted to say congrats, y'all. I heard that you finished your first virtual theater experience, which is so dope. Your first virtual performance, like we're all living that life right now, and I think it's so amazing that y'all have found a way to stay creative and keep theater alive. And your teacher was telling me that y'all wrote and produced and performed and edited your own scenes for this like haunted theater experience, this virtual haunted theater experience. That's so dope. I wish I could see it. In fact, like if you can send it to me, it would be amazing.
Drama this year has been very stressful. We are not able to come together as a group in person and act like we normally would. I have to say that doing Shakespeare last year was a lot easier than doing drama this year. But one good thing about it is we still act. We still do all the things we would normally do. We just do it behind a screen. It's a little bit harder, but we still get through it because we are Falcon Strong.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
What is it now?
Is that any way to speak to your
This year, the Drama Club produced a virtual fairy tale. Usually our audiences would be limited to the people from the Atwater area that could fit into our small black box theater.
But this play was able to be presented to the entire student body of several elementary schools in the greater Central Valley, as well as audiences around our country and as far as England, Germany, Guam, Mexico, and Japan.
We never dreamed our AHS productions would ever have such a far reach.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Garner. I'm a senior and I'm the current band treasurer for this year. Playing music virtually has been challenging, especially since my siblings and I are on band and it can be hard to find a quiet place to record and practice sometimes. But it has been really fun and I am very thankful that we have the dedicated staff as well as the online tools and software to record music and hold concerts during these tough times.
Hi, my name is Nandini Patel and I'm the current band president this year. Although this year has not been ideal, playing at home in my garage has had its struggles. Learning to edit has been hard, but at the end of the day, when we put together that concert, it really helped brighten a lot of people, including me. This has been a very interesting year, especially being in one of the performing arts classes. Choir society was a very interesting deal. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. If you couldn't tell, we did the recordings for our performance. We got 3 songs in. It was really hard, and I honestly didn't expect it to go as well as it did. But when I was watching the performance, I was in awe about how well we all did and just thinking about what had gone on the past 3 months. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. The performance was amazing, and I couldn't have hoped for anything better.
That was awesome.
Very cool. Well done, students and staff. It was awesome.
Yes, very well done. And the silver lining is you've expanded your audience. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that's a true global audience.
Thank you. We're very proud of our programs. And I'd like to thank our visual performing arts teachers, Julianne Aguilar, Laura Ekman, and our band teacher, Michael Flores, for their creativity, resilience, and hard work on behalf of our students and staff. We're very proud of all of them.
Yeah, as you should be. They're keeping that connection.
Great job, sir.
Very well done. Any other questions or comments? No, then I think Mr. Theodosio, I think you're up again. Site principals report.
Okay, again, thank you. And this year has been one for the record books for all of us, I think. I think we don't need to rehash everything that we're going through and that we've been through, but I do want to first start off by saying that, I have a tremendous amount of respect for our staff, both certificated, classified, and our admin team for being super resilient, hardworking, creative, and doing an outstanding job this year. It's been difficult. They've done an outstanding job. And, it's been hard on our students as well, but I appreciate their resiliency, and we're really looking forward to getting everybody back on campus. And that's something that we can't wait to have happen. So hopefully we make it through this soon and we can get back to normal as soon as possible. A couple of areas I'd like to highlight this evening in our board report is what we are doing to address one of the issues that has come up for us this year. As you can imagine, student engagement in an online format is very difficult. While some of our students have done well in this particular format, there is a certain segment of our population that is very hard to engage, where the screen will just be turned on and, perhaps it's a blacked out screen, or they're non-responsive when teachers talk with them. And, it's been difficult for our students. So, we've, of course, pinpointed engagement as one of our primary focuses, and how do we address that particular issue instructionally. So I just want to talk about a couple of things this evening that we're doing. First, starting tomorrow, we're going to conduct Zoom prep meetings. These will be trainings conducted by our professional development team, our library tech, our instructional coach, and our AP for teaching and learning, Mr. Hammer. The training will be recorded and archived for future teacher reference. And in this training, we're talking about best practices, what works best for teachers, where teachers can share and highlight things that have worked well for them. And it'll give the staff an opportunity to interact with our library tech and instructional coach and our teaching and learning AP. We're carrying that on next week. We will be doing a series of learning walks with volunteer teachers. And in learning walks, again, teachers will be able to go into other teachers' classrooms, have the opportunity to observe what's working well and how things are going for them. And then it'll give them an opportunity to collaborate about these strategies as well. So that's one of the things that we're doing to address engagement in the classroom. Another thing I wanted to highlight this evening is that Atwater High School has integrated and subscribed to 14 different educational apps or digital services to make the classroom experience more engaging and interesting for our students. And I'm going to kind of run through a quick list of some of these apps and how they apply across the entire spectrum of Atwater High School. We have BOSIS for ELD. For math, we have a few different apps. It's IXL Math, Delta Math, CUDA Software. For English, we have Actively Learned, Gizmos for science, Electude for diesel engines, KISS, it's Institute for Practical Robotics Simulator for our robotics program or robotics classes. Paradex school-wide, Music Maker for music, SimBuild for construction trades, and SketchUp for wood and welding shop. So through these apps, we're able to make the experience online more engaging. There's ways to check for understandings, to do surveys, to have students interact with the instruction. So it's just one of the other ways that we're working to try to liven up and make more interesting and engaging for our students, our online learning that's going on. So in another area I kind of wanted to get into really quick in the area of student support, I want to highlight a program that we ran over winter break. It was an online program. Of course, we didn't have anybody here, but a lot was happening during winter break for us. We had an Atwater High School winter session is what we called it. It was a 6-day, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tutoring program, enrichment program for our students. We had 6 Atwater High School teachers in both core and CTE areas that participated and opened their video classrooms up for students. We had bilingual professionals that supported this environment that we were in with our students. We identified students that were at risk, that were ELD, special education. failing a number of classes. We opened it up to everybody, but we reached out and tried to attract those students to attend. We had special enrichment classes were offered in the area of anime and cosmetics for those that were interested in being engaged in those areas. Credit recovery was offered by one of our teachers as well, a credit recovery program. We had a wellness class that was held by our student support manager, Nancy Sanchez, for students to drop in and connect. And one of the interesting things that Ms. Sanchez did is she made stress bags with little things in it and dropped it off on the porch of those folks that were engaged in her class and that came to attend with her over break. All in all, we had about 5 to 15 students per day per class that came in, and students who attended, we did see a marked increase in their grades for the semester. So the winter session was coordinated by Atwater High School Associate Principals Elizabeth Fontavon and Robert Nunes with the support of Assets Coordinator Veronica Maya. So I wanted to give those guys a shout out this evening. They did a fantastic job with that program and really provided an opportunity for kids to be connected that wanted to be connected over break with our campus and with our teachers. So those are the areas I want to highlight this evening. Concludes my site report for this evening. I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk with the board, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Theodosio. It sounds like you have a lot going on. It's nice to hear that you're continuing with your prep meetings. I think, before the closure, you had a pretty robust system there, with prep period trainings and such. As far as your learning walks, is there a focus area for teachers when they go into the classroom, or is it just whatever the presenting teacher wants to share?
Well, we're really focusing on the engagement strategies. What works? What are some of the strategies they're using to get kids to turn their screen on or to answer or to check for understanding? So how are we just grabbing hold of those kids and getting them involved in the classroom is what we're focusing on.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Theodosio, do you find since implementing the use of these apps that engagement has improved? Are more kids turning on their cameras?
The classes that I've observed and I've interacted with, yes, it definitely provides more incentive to be involved. I don't know if it's an entertainment value or an accountability system that's put in place. It's easy to access, easy to follow. I think all of those things combined make it a better environment for students to actually engage with what the instruction, what the lesson is for the day, and what the students are actually working on that day. Of course, the teachers can provide breakout rooms. There's multiple things that can be done with these apps. And another thing that it does, especially in some of our CTE classes, which are extremely difficult to do in an online format, it provides simulations, it provides real life applications in a digital environment. So it helps in that area too.
Thank you. Sounds like you guys are doing some neat stuff. I appreciate you sharing. It's very optimistic sounding for, I think, students and staff. And I know this has been tiresome. So thank you for staying positive and looking for new ways to engage everyone.
Thank you.
Just to add on, and this question might be directed more toward Dr. Aguilar. As Mr. Theodosio and his staff are trying these new approaches, with the learning walks, it is something like during these times that we're looking to expand that across the district. I mean, we're all going to benefit from it. So, I mean, just taking that to see how, to what extent they can push it and, like he's saying, infuse these strategies to better engage students. I think it's wonderful, first of all, and then second of all, we can get everybody else on board or, invite others from within our district to go shadow to see what they're doing.
Yes, absolutely. And Brett, or Mr. Theodosio, excellent job. And before I answer Mr. Lopez's question, I want to say that your team is phenomenal, and you have a really, really good theater teacher too, by the way. To answer your question, Mr. Lopez, I can tell you that the visual and performing art teachers across Atwater High School for sure, and with certain schools, depending on what the projects are working on, teachers are collaborating on their own time and discussing these best practices. So I hear it in my kitchen, I hear it in the living room, I hear it upstairs. I mean, it's all the conversations that our teachers are having. So it's really having our teachers collaborate that way among themselves, peer to peer, that we're going to really see some really great changes and some best practices being shared.
And no disrespect to the teachers across the district, obviously, Mr. Theodoso showcasing tonight. So it was great to hear about the learning walk strategy that he's going to implement at his site. Because I know, like you said, Dr. Aguilar, across the district, I'm sure teachers are trying new approaches and they're meeting to see what best works for them. So across the district, just don't take it that way, guys. I just obviously appreciated Brett showcasing tonight and what they're doing for Atwater High School.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Theodosio, to you and your staff.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, then we'll move on to general public comment. I believe we had one. Would that be you, Mrs. Rohrbach?
I have to remember to unmute myself. Yes, Mrs. Pickle, I have one comment made by Maria Soto. Her comment is, thank you, Superintendent Peterson, for addressing the recent situation in our country in your letter. I would like to request items for discussion and/or adoption for the school board to be placed on the agenda. 1, each staff in your district review the oath taken upon hire it is in the ed code. Number 2, a U.S. flag must be in each and every classroom. Number 3, each school day must begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Number 4, place age-appropriate posters in every classroom, and she's provided some information in her email to me. I would like to meet with Mr. Peterson and board members for further discussion or be present in a Zoom fashion to bring before the board.
Thank you, Mrs. Rohrbach.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Moving on to reports, discussion, student learning loss, Dr. Aguilar.
Yep, there we go. Thank you, President Pickle. If I may grab the screen here. Let's make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Oh. Everyone's got my screen, correct?
Yes.
Go up to the. I'm very anxious to give you this report because of the amount of work that we've done in this area, but also because it is very, very necessary that we have this discussion. So there's a lot here, and there are a lot of variables that go along with what the state has defined as learning loss. So I did script myself to ensure that I hit the points of this presentation. And it's really a two-parter. The last slide is really separate from the learning loss. So if I may go through the slides and then entertain questions there at the completion of the slides. So let's start with learning loss. Learning loss is a term used and created by our California Department of Education. Learning loss is the term used to, as they define, quote, support pupil academic achievement and mitigate learning loss related to COVID-19 school closures. And again, that's a quote from our California Department of Education. In other words, learning loss means what are students not getting that they used to get educationally? For example, school meals, counseling services, access to a free and public education, and the support in all these areas. So what are we doing, right? Because of COVID, because of the school closures, to address these issues. The Merced Union High School District is using this term to focus our efforts to improve upon the degree to which students have completed the college and career indicators and mastered grade level essential standards using multiple measures. Multiple measures are what we as a district are graded on by our state. Those areas are CTE completers, A through G completers, students earning college credit while in high school, CASP test scores in English and math, the state seal of biliteracy certifications, our AP pass rate of 3 or better. And the other two, which we don't have, are IB and military leadership. So to achieve the above, students need to apply their learning in a student-centered environment, like project-based learning, but not exclusively to project-based learning. Lastly, let us not forget that it's the skills that we want our students to acquire. The content they learn is merely the vehicle they use to access the skills that they're going to need to apply and use. We've created 3 phases to support students. What we will do this spring, what we will do this summer, and what we're going to do this upcoming year and years to come, because it will take us years to recover. For the immediate, we want to identify students that failed the first semester, and this is something that we can grab hold of now. And what some of our sites are discussing implementing as soon as we get our data, right? The semester is over on the 14th, tomorrow. Grades are due next Tuesday, and then there soon after, we're going to compile all the data and aggregate it so that we know, what we're looking at with regard to failure rate and where we immediately need to intervene so that we have our senior students in particular graduating on time. So we're looking at Saturday academies where students will be cohorted. Several schools have identified their desire to do this immediately. And looking also at holiday recesses to bring students onto campus, whether it be face-to-face or it be virtually, so that students have an opportunity to recoup credit. And this is the immediate. Step 2, kind of our intermediate focus. The summer school plan created is for students to attend in person. So what was attached to this board agenda, the entire intent is for our students to attend in person and to attend in small settings of 10 to 15 students per class. The 4 core areas, math, English, science, and social science, will be offered this summer in a student-centered environment. We've got our entire Ed Services team currently working on lessons in those 4 core areas, which are being developed for teachers to take and to implement during the summer so that teachers do not have to prepare for the summer so that we can get back to that student-centered approach. And let me emphasize, these lessons are being derived through essential standards that our teachers have pulled from content standards and have said they're essential. We're going to inform our students and we will post positions for summer school, identifying that it's a student-centered environment that we want our students to have this summer. So the goal is to have week-long projects, let's say, for example, to assess their learning and then also the application of the learning using the content standards that we can then take and report to you, our board, as to what students did well and what they didn't do well to master the standards. We also want to make sure that during this time we take advantage of professional development for students. We want to get back to that instructional framework that we had prior to COVID, where everything we were discussing was around student-centered learning, and we were using our CTE classes to provide this platform and this environment for our students. So we want to get back to professional development for our teachers, and then looking back also at our instructional plan this very year, pre-COVID, we said that we are going to finalize pulling the skills out of those essential standards and providing professional development for our teachers to implement for this following year. So it's really making sure that we stay on track with that work so that when we come back this following year, we have this work laid out in a good foundation for our teachers to be able to use to implement student-centered learning. And let me also add, we're adding math advancement for our incoming freshmen this year for summer school. We want to give them elective credit for math, but we want to invite all incoming freshmen to our schools for a math bridge program where they are going to earn elective credit for successful completion, but also use the model and the philosophy that we've had in the previous years, that if they score high enough on their end of math summer school exam, that they are placed in a higher math class. So there will be assessments that are being used to as a measure, not the only measure, but a measure of where students are in their learning progression. And lastly, with what we're deeming as learning loss, right? And what we want to focus on is to make sure that we have all of our students giving the opportunity to apply their learning, and be able to measure their learning using multiple measures. We want them to, be assessed using a test, but not use that as the sole measure to identify the amount of learning students have done or haven't done. We want to use the student-centered approach with projects, research for students, our literacy skills for students, looking at Lexile levels. There are a variety of different areas that we need to look at when we talk about learning loss. And these are all plans that we are currently working on to implement for this following year. When we talk about learning loss, the fundamental question that we should be asking is, how are students doing with mastery or grade level standards and the completion of the career and college indicators? Because that's how we're being measured, right? So as you're looking at the data and you're looking at these 6 areas, college, there are students that are taking college classes. The classes or the questions that we should be asking is, are they completing? And if so, at what rate? How are they doing in those classes? If we're looking at CTE completers, right, where are the hiccups? Where are students not completing, or why aren't students completing? And looking at that data. I then, in closing, I respectfully urge the board to consider having a study session so that our Ed Services team can participate in a discussion with you to further discuss the details and the many moving parts and considerations that we have to make as we make decisions and we plan for this upcoming school year in addressing what the state has defined as learning loss. So with that, I'll ask for questions or points of clarification.
Dr. Aguilar, it's obvious when students have D's and F's, right? That there's been, I don't even know if it's learning loss. There was no learning gained. What about students who pass, who get even B's and C's, but they go on to the next level and they didn't really grasp what they should have in the year prior? What about, I don't know, the bridge into the new year in the new math class, for instance? I don't know if I'm articulating that well, but I'm just thinking, some kids would normally be performing much better, more superior. They would have the skills to go into, say, their physics class from not only a prior science, but math class. And now, because their foundation isn't what it should be, they may continue to struggle. Their grades may not be what they would hope for them to be. So I guess I'm asking not just for kids who are doing really poorly, but kids who are just not either doing as well as they normally would, or just didn't really grasp a class like they might have otherwise.
Sure, and and I appreciate the question, and I think I understand it. And we were just on the cusp of completing our essential standards work, and really, as students are moving into a new class, teachers automatically assess their students as they come in to try to find out where they are. with their learning, or where their learning stopped, prior to summer, for example. And we do that traditionally already. It's just now that we have a much larger area to perhaps need to take into consideration that students may have not gotten. And really where we want to make sure that our focus moves to is those skills that I shared on that first slide, with collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking, all of those things that are so difficult to do, in a virtual environment. Those are the things that we want to make sure that we bring back into the classroom, so that when we talk about, giving a student a formative assessment or an assessment, that we have a good vehicle, which is that content, right, to deliver, so that we can then, address whatever standards they perhaps didn't get, in the class because they were learning virtually. So the beginning of the school year, let's take a look at where all students are in all of our classes, and in particular our 4 core areas, so that we can address those essential standards. So what essential standards have we identified, and which ones didn't the students get previous year, so that we go back and reteach them as we move forward. But we always have to continue to move forward. We can't go back and remediate. We shouldn't go back and remediate years and years of learning loss. It should always be moving forward. Where are students right now, and how can we continue to move forward while filling in some of those gaps that students may have?
Thank you. So I'm also imagining, while it's possible that a student only struggled in one area, one of the 4 core areas during this pandemic, it's more probable that it was multiple classes. So will students be allowed to take more than just one subject area over the summer?
Yeah, so we've really changed the format. Typically, historically, our students would only take one class for 10 credits, and for 4 hours a day. We've changed the summer school platform. Obviously, I shared with you here that the lessons that we're designing are week long, and they're super engaging, student-centered lessons. This is not going to be a sit and get summer school for our students, right? So we're now going to allow students to take up to 20 credits. So 2 classes, they can take one from 8 to 10, they have a break, and then from say 10:30 to 12:30, they take their second class, and they're done for the day. We've designed it that way, purposely, so that we have more students getting the opportunity to earn more credits. But at the same time, we're also piloting and really practicing and really getting our teachers back in the rhythm of student-centered, of project-based, of having students apply their learning. So that's a big part of what we want to accomplish this summer. So that begins to propel us into the next school year,
while keeping class sizes down.
So that was my next comment. You're going to need significantly more summer school teachers this year than you have in the recent past.
Yes, and we talked to our school principals and our school leadership prior to Christmas, and they went out and began talking to teachers about their interest. And we're currently working on an MOU with our teachers union for this upcoming year to make sure that all of this is happening, and they're also part of the process.
Great. So one last question. How are you going to get students there? I mean, I recognize it is in their best interest, especially if they got a D or an F and they need the credits to graduate. But, given what kids have just suffered through, I think there are a lot of kids that just assume put school in the rearview mirror, take the break for the summer, and won't show up. So I guess I'm concerned in engagement as we continue to talk about, but how are you going to get kids there?
So we know that our students vote with their feet. Students are gravitated to those teachers that are super engaging. Just what Principal Theodosio shared today. You've got teachers that have had to reinvent the way they teach, and those are the types of teachers that our students gravitate to. So for us, it's getting the right teachers, understanding the philosophy that we want in our summer school programs for student learning, and getting the right teachers to come out and do it. So that's really my push. And we're opening it up for any teacher. It's not just the 4 core areas. Those are just the areas where we're providing lessons for, but any teacher. So if a shop teacher, a theater teacher, a business teacher, if there's a need there because students failed, there's an opportunity for those students to come on our campus as well. So we really want to make it very open for more opportunities for all of our students.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilar, and thank you just to the district as a whole for putting focus behind this and creating opportunities for our students to hopefully recoup some of what they've lost.
This is I'm sorry, Mr. Lopez. This is a monumental effort, and there are a lot of team members on our Ed Services team that are working, their tails off every day, creating these assignments and doing their due diligence and providing professional development for our staff. So, I really relish the opportunity to perhaps in the near future be able to sit down and really get the details about how this is going to work and some of the work that's involved in moving our district forward.
Dr. Aguilar, a few things. So obviously with the explanation that you just given us, it seemed like there's plenty of opportunities as we're expanding, what we have to offer for kids, for the instructional department, our teachers, our teachers union, to see that there's a need to go beyond what we currently have to offer for our kids. And I think that's important. I also feel that this is a very unique situation for us for this summer, that we shouldn't only just focus on those students that, like Mrs. Hammonds mentioned about their whole, whether it's the D, the Fs, whatever that may be, but it also provides, I think, that opportunity for us to expand opportunities for those kids that want to continue to advance. That we always restrict it to those that are getting the Fs, the Ds, credit recovery, but it's also, and I get it, the 4 core areas. Well, can we go beyond the 4 core areas, for those kids that want to continue beyond, they may be the A student, and they want to move on to that next level. So why aren't we doing that for them? Well, we've got the funding. We're going to address loss. And the funding goes to all students, not just, those identified ones currently that we have right now. Is there conversations with that? And also, as your instructional team, you said that we should have a study session, and I'm all for that. Will you be bringing also teachers to the table, to that meeting, so that we can get their input, because obviously they're going to be the drivers behind the success of this program as we try to address not only learning loss, but get students more engaged in their education.
Yeah, so the study sessions are open. So yes, absolutely. We would invite teachers to participate. Those study sessions are always open to the public. And to answer your question about opening it up a little bit more, if you look at our calendar, we traditionally go to summer school for 26 days, and we condensed it down to 20 days. Just for the motivation of our teachers and our students wanting to participate in the summer program. So we narrowed it down. We are open to remediation for all subjects, as long as the sites state that there's a need. We'll post those positions and we'll hire accordingly. The reason why, I'll give you an example of opening it up for advancement. The reason why we're giving elective credit for math for our incoming freshmen is because we have to be very, very careful about the integrity of those classes and the amount of learning and content and standards that we're asking our students to master. And really right now, giving students 4 weeks at 2 hours a day for that class just does not give that class enough integrity for us to move forward with advancement. Conversely, if it's remediation, we're assuming that student has already been in that class and already has, a certain number of hours accumulated. And what we're now only doing is filling in those gaps that those students didn't master, which is why we can really condense our summer school and condense their day. If there is a need for students to want to advance, what we're doing is we are encouraging our students to look at the offerings at Merced College for summer school. Many of our students, and I will be sharing data as their semester, Merced College's semester just ended, our students continue to do very, very well at Merced College. So if students are really motivated to want to move ahead, we're looking to share those options for our students to take advantage of college credit, which could be offered during the summer.
You know, it's interesting because you just, just made that comment about the 4 weeks, the 2 hours. I mean, that's what, 80 hours. So in 80 hours worth of work, right? The kids are going to make up 180 hours of learning loss from throughout the year. So go figure that one out, Nonetheless, what are we currently using to address, I guess, academic learning loss? Like what tools do we have assessments that we're currently focusing on?
Yeah,
aside from the DNF rate?
Yeah, so we did ask all of our sites, and this really impacts our students that are in our special education program. So we've asked all of our students to use the interim assessments for this year. And what we will have in place the following year, this upcoming year for you, is we will put together a structure by which we can bring back to you data about the level of mastery that our students are having with the essential standards. So that is something that we're putting in place right now for us to be able to do. And again, the focus is on providing you, our board, what are the essential standards in all these areas, and how are our students doing in mastering those standards. And that is those are the structures that we are putting together, and those will be done in multiple arenas, right? It won't just necessarily be a multiple choice test. It will also be through projects, because all of the projects and all of the student-centered learning that our students are experiencing, have a rubric, right, which have standards embedded that students should be mastering. So we look forward to providing you those type of assessments and reports, with the data that you're looking for.
Hey, Dr. Aguilar, and as far as learning loss goes, academic learning loss, is it due to students not completing homework? Is it due to test scores? I mean, a kid can be learning, they're just not submitting their stuff, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, and I'll get to this more specific. Well, I guess I can get to it now as far as that last slide with our learning continuity plan. This is what happens, and all of you have yours. This is what happens if you're the teacher and I'm the student, and you ask me a question and you put me on the spot, and I just want to disengage. This is what happens. I disappear. Yeah, and this is true. Students disappear. It's teachers don't have control of the classroom like they did before. They don't have proximity, right? So if a student is misbehaving, right, teachers use proximity to redirect a student. If teachers want certain learning to occur, they put them in groups. They maneuver the environment in the classroom. They have that control, and they don't now. So that has been an enormous challenge for our teachers, and even for our better students. I went home today, for lunch, and there are my daughters that are in class that are supposed to have their camera on. What are you doing? Well, we're fixing lunch. Well, I think I hear your teacher talking. Oh yeah, but we're still listening. It's just different. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, that would have never have happened in a traditional school year. Could you imagine, Mr. Lopez, you sitting in front of the class teaching me math, and then all of a sudden I just walk up and I bring back my peanut butter and jelly, my butter knife, and I start preparing myself a sandwich and I start eating. I mean, these are all things that our teachers are having to confront right now. And these aren't with our bad students, right? These are all of our students. I mean, it's just human nature.
And then as far as addressing learning loss on one of your slides, I think it was your first or second slide, what stakeholder feedback are we looking to gather, and how's it gonna be used?
Yeah, so we're starting our LCAP meetings here this next week. So really, and if I may, let me go back, and I'm looking at slide 6. I'll keep us in this forum so I don't take over the screen and I'm able to see everyone. But we're looking at our LCAP meetings, and those are opportunities for our parents, our community members, our teachers, classified staff, DTA, or English language learning advisory committees to come in and provide us feedback. And the areas that we're going to focus on are these 8 areas that are identified in the slide under the learning continuity plan, because that's what we said we were going to do. So tonight, I'd like to give you an update on where we are with those, because these will be the foundational areas that we will begin discussions with as we move forward in getting feedback from our community and our parents and students too, right? Let's not forget our students. We've got students that are going to be doing empathy interviews. We just met with all the principals, and that's going to be some great feedback that we're going to get, because students are going to be asked, hey, what do you need? And not in these simple terms, obviously, but what's working for you? What's not working for you? What's the school providing that's working? And what is that? And what's not working as well? So we're going to go through those. Sites are going to go through those empathy interviews with students. So we're going to get some great data there. But number one, pupil learning loss. I've talked already ad nauseum, about this pupil learning loss. And again, this is an opportunity, our LCAT meetings are an opportunity for our parents and our community and our students to tell us, hey, what do you need? What is not working? What additional services do you need? Are you getting too much of something and not enough of the other? That's how we will move forward with number one. Number two, with professional learning, we have had a lot of different opportunities for our teachers to get that professional learning for our teachers, and that's something that even through our English learners and through our special education programs, we have been able to provide specific professional learning opportunities for those areas. Number three, social emotional support. We did increase services and hours of counseling for our students. However, we don't have a lot of students coming onto campuses taking advantage of those opportunities as much as we'd like. And just due to the sheer volume of COVID testing that we've had to do, we have not been able to implement a social emotional curriculum like we thought we were going to do. So that's an area where we would take a look at again and keep it and look at this upcoming year for us to be able to do. Number four, strengthening student connectedness. And this is again, emphasize personal relationships in virtual settings. That has been almost impossible for many of our teachers to do, for the very reason I illustrated a little bit earlier, where students are turning off their screen. They're just, right, they're at home by themselves, and they have to monitor themselves. If there isn't an adult in the room constantly on them, making sure that they're in class, it just becomes very, very difficult. So that has been a big area of concern and of weakness, quite frankly. Moved here. Back to the slide. Long-term distance learning and in-person instruction. Number five, we've done incredibly well. We've provided options for parents, right? Do you want to stay at home or do you want to be on campus? And then, obviously we went to at-home learning only because of the current situation we are with our COVID numbers, but we have provided choice for parents, and we will continue to provide choice for students. Number six, with student meals, we've been able to accommodate student meals for all of our students. And I don't know if Mr. Calderon has anything to add to number six with regard to student meals, since he does oversee our lunch programs. Number seven, culturally responsive pedagogy. Torrin, can I hand that one off to you?
Sure. Took me a while to come up there.
He's making his peanut butter sandwich.
All sites are engaged in some level with the topics that were laid out for them in the beginning on why talk about race in school, microaggressions, and implicit bias. So we're moving forward.
Mr. Peterson, on that comment, a lot of people are making peanut butter sandwiches right now.
I love peanut butter sandwiches.
Thank you, Torrin.
All right. And then lastly, our technology and connectivity. I would say this is another area where we've excelled, where we've provided software for our teachers with Go Guardian. We've provided webcams, cameras, microphones, additional monitors. So in MiFi, so I think we've excelled in this areas. But as you can see, there's some areas where we've just really struggled. And there's some areas where we've excelled. So these will be the beginning talking points to our LCAP meetings, and you can see at the very top is our pupil learning loss. So we hope to get a lot of feedback from our students through those empathy interviews, through our LCAP community meetings with our parents and community members. So
And I think that's great.
I'm gathering feedback right now from our cabinet evaluations from sites and asking very specific questions. So that all will go into it, along with opening up thought exchange after our semester grades come in to all staff.
And Dr. Aguilar, as you start the LCAP meetings, well, I mean, obviously, I'm hoping you're going to define to the members at those meetings, you know, what learning loss is. It's not just the academic learning, because so many times we get centered on the academic learning. And yes, that's why we're here, but there are more, there's additional information as to what learning loss truly is. And then for your LCAP meeting, will you also have the percentage of students who are currently receiving, D's or F's,
yes.
From the first quarter and also from the first semester also, and maybe we can start to use our obviously our parents and our stakeholders, to kind of push the envelope as to, why kids need to be, online and accessing the virtual learning as much as possible.
Yes, we're going to provide all that data, and that data is currently available on our internal dashboard. So, depending on the semester in the year, our F rate for the semester it fluctuates anywhere between 15% to 25%, and those are on a regular year, right? With at least one student earning one F for a semester. So yes, we're anxious to get that data, and all that data will be shared with you, our school board, and then also with all of our attendees at our LCAP meetings.
And have you shared those dates with us for the LCAP meetings? And if not, can you?
Yes, I can share those with you if I was better on my computer here.
No sweat. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, just forward them to them.
Yeah, they're up on our website. I can share those with all of our board members. I'll make sure to add those to the pulse.
Hey, Dr. Aguilar, I don't remember students being present at LCAP meetings previously, and maybe they've been invited. I mean, typically the focus is on getting parents there and other community members. I do think I'm really glad to hear you're having these empathy discussions with students. And I really think we need to involve our students more in the direction that we're taking, especially when it is a direct impact based on an experience that they've had that they need help getting out of, right?
Yes, and I guess when we say empathy interviews, that's all inclusive of what's happening with our MTSS, our multi-tiered systems of support, which is all part of the LCAP, right? So instead of using all these fancy, acronyms and jargon with our students, we want to use language that's going to relate to them, right? Which is why we use the empathy interviews and really gear questions that are aligned to them, and it's all around their learning and their experiences at school and what they need to learn.
You'll be using thought exchange to gather feedback from students as well, correct?
From staff at this point, we're going to have principals do that this semester because it's new and we need to just kind of work through the glitches. So we're going to have sites handle that. But yes, principals can pose those questions to students.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you, Dr. Aguilar. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilar.
Thank you to you and your instructional team.
Quite a task.
Yes, it's definitely a team effort. There's a lot of people making this happen.
We'll move on to next item, resolution 7-20 with Dr. Weimer.
Sorry, I had to put my sandwich away. Real quickly, let me share my screen here and move on to some good news, hopefully. Here we go. So we do have the opportunity, and just as a preface here real quickly, this is a report item tonight, so we will kind of go through this. It does have to be over 2 meetings. So we will have a special meeting next week, and this will be an action meeting at that point. If there are any questions that I can't answer tonight or questions that you think of between now and then, we will actually have our bond advisor, bond attorney, and underwriters with us next week for the adoption of the resolution. So they'll be able to answer some more questions too if you get a little bit more technical than I can tonight. But we are looking at the idea that we do have available some access to Measure M money. So we would be going out for Series F of the 2008 Measure M bond. In 2008, we did go out and got authorization for $149,450,000 in general obligation bonds. The district has issued 104 million of that so far. So there is some access that we can have in the Measure M bonds. And I'll get to a reason why we haven't accessed the bonds in the past, but you'll see that here real quickly, and we'll see why we didn't get all 149 million right up front. But you can see that we have issued Series A and Series B and Series C, which were back in 2009, 2011, at which point the property values had collapsed in the recession of 2000 in that time period there. So you see that we didn't go out and get more money until 2015, and then we got some more in 2019. And now assessed values have gone up enough that we can get a little bit more money out of the Measure M bond. The district has $44.9 million left that we can access, but we're not able to access all of that at this particular time. That's how much was authorized to do it. When you go out for a bond, there are 2 pieces that determine whether or not you're going to be able to get the total amount of money. The first is this number here, how much it was authorized for. And then the second one is the assessed property values and the fact that based on Proposition 39, you cannot exceed $30 per $100,000 of assessed values. So when we had the assessed values in 2008, based on $30 per 100,000, we were told we would be able to get $149 million. That's what the calculations worked out to. Unfortunately, in the years right after we passed the bond, the housing values collapsed. And so we were no longer able to get that amount of money because we were limited to the $30 per 100,000. So you're limited on how much was authorized total, which was 149 million, and you're limited by you can't go over $30 per $100,000 of value. So this right here is what I'm talking about. In 2008, you see the property values kept going up from 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. Right here at the top is where we passed the bond. And then all of a sudden property values went down. So this property value going down is why we were not able to get all $149 million, because it would have taken us over the $30 per 100,000 of the tax rate. Now that you see property values have consistently been going up, we're able to access some more of that money. And over on the left-hand side, you can see the history of how much the property values have been going up. So 2008 right here is when we actually passed the bond. And then you can see the next year property values went down 3%, then the next year down another 11%, then down 5%, then down 1 more percent, and then it leveled off. 2014 on, you see that we've been growing, with the 4.2 being the lowest year and 9.5 being the highest year. Average of 5.2 over that period of time has been our property value increases. So you see that we do consistently have increased property values going on right now. We do expect that to continue. Property values have not fallen in this current time period with the COVID. They've stayed steady. We do have properties that are still going on right now being constructed. And we do have UC Merced that just finished their $1 billion expansion, and all of the people who are going to be coming in for that haven't come in yet. So they haven't got their new staff yet. They haven't got the new students who are coming in from yet. And that's going to continue to have our property values and housing values and housing starts and assessed values go up over the next couple of years. So we're pretty confident that that's going to continue. And then that's going to allow us to access some more of the Measure M money. The other thing that we have that's going in our favor is this is interest rates. And you see that they've been consistently going down, and we're getting down to one of the lower rates that we've ever seen. And we're going to be able to access at a lower rate. And of course, being able to go out at a lower rate allows us to get more money back for us to use rather than paying it in interest. So this slide kind of puts everything together. The gray are the taxes that are currently out there for the Measure M bonds that we've already sold. The orange line is the increased value that we predict is going to happen. And so you can start to see right here, there's little yellow gaps. That means that there's money we can access, because we can go up to what we think that assessed value is going to be, that orange line, and stay at $30 per 100,000. So as you start to calculate all this yellow in here, that's where we're being able to access more money from the bonds. And you can see that it's even starting right here in 2022. There's a little bit right there that we're going to be able to access. So they put it together for us a presentation with two different options. And this was done by our underwriters, by Stifel. And they were looking at how much we can get, looking at whether we could get $17 million is what we're looking at under these two options. This one has a capital investment bonds only, which is the traditional type of bond where each year you get interest paid out to you, and then at the end you get a lump sum of the money. But basically, if we were to try to get $17 million out of only selling those types of bonds, we would go over our $30. So option 2 is pretty much off the table if we want to get up to 17 million, because we would be over the $30 per 100,000 evaluation. So that one's off the table. But if we use two different types of bonds, capital appreciation bonds, and a capital appreciation bond, what that basically means is you don't actually get, if you buy the capital appreciation bond, you don't get interest every year. What happens is it goes into the bond and then it compounds the interest. And then you don't take interest out every year. You wait until the very end and you get it all out. So it's just a different way of selling bonds. But if we do the two together, we can get 17.197 million and stay at the $30 per 100,000. Now, this is an estimate until we actually price the bonds, which we're scheduled to do the first week of February. We won't know exactly how much we're going to get, but the document and the resolution would say no more than $20 million. And I believe it's couldn't go over 4.5%. And so we do put caps on what we would be able to get, but at the current rates, this is what we think we could possibly get as a return. Just a little bit on the market update. Basically, the green and the orange are the boundaries of the rates, of the average rates. And you can see the current rate now, which is the blue one, is hovering down at some of the lowest rates that there have been in recent times. So we're going into the good market conditions as far as having low interest rates. That's one of the reasons we're able to get some decent amount of money out of it, the assessed valuation and the low interest rates. And this one just gives you a little bit of information. You can see that there was a dip in people buying bonds right here back in March. Obviously, nobody was buying anything back in March. But it very quickly picked up after that. You always see a slowdown right here. This is around election time. Everybody stops buying bonds when there's a presidential election because they don't know who's going to win. They don't know what it's going to do for tax policy. So there's always a lull right around election time, but then it usually picks right back up in the January. So we would be looking at the beginning of February, and you can see this is what it looked like last February. So it looks like there will be a market for them. It looks like interest rates are low and our assessed valuation has been going up. So we are going to be asking next week at a special board meeting at that time, I will read that resolution. I don't want to read it tonight, the title that's there that goes on for pages. But that is the legal title that we have to have in there. And we would read that next week as we authorize the ability to go out and price bonds. Any questions? And again, this will come back to you next week. So if you have questions between now and then, because that's a lot of information for you, you can ask me anything in between now and then, and we will have our bond attorney, our bond advisor, and our bond underwriter with us next week to be able to answer any other questions that you might have also.
Thank you, Dr. Weimer. I think it was an excellent presentation, very well organized and easy to follow. And thank you for taking time with me this morning to go through some of my other questions and get a better understanding. And I'm thrilled that the district is in a position to do this and get some money and start making some improvements in facilities.
Yeah, if you like the presentation, I made it. If you didn't like it, Stiefel made it.
Any other questions for Dr. Weimer before we let him off the hook? No? Okay. Then we'll move on to Employee Association comment period. And we do have a comment from each of the associations. Good evening, President Pickle, board members, Superintendent Peterson, and Cabinet. I think it is a fair assumption to state that seeing Superintendent Peterson's email in December explaining the move to full distance learning was disappointing for all stakeholders. A move back to distance learning could only mean one thing. The data called for it because community COVID numbers were going in the wrong direction. During the winter recess, we received a follow-up email from Superintendent Peterson offering faculty the option of working remotely during the duration of the soft close, as it has been called. We would like to express our gratitude for being given this option. Teachers can still access their classrooms who need and want to. Teachers who are vulnerable can safely and effectively fulfill their essential job duties from home. Many of our teachers with disabilities and/or COVID medical concerns have been teaching remotely through the duration of the pandemic thus far. These requests to work remotely were approved until January 15th. We urge you to allow teachers with medical notes to continue to teach remotely. Extending permission to work remotely is good for students. In fact, allowing for the option for all teachers to work remotely is good for students. However, this is most pressing for the most vulnerable members of our teaching faculty. We don't want these teachers to have to take leave because of a medical concern and/or disability. Please allow them to teach remotely so that, number one, students can continue to learn from the teacher with whom they have developed a relationship over the course of this year. Number two, students can continue to learn from a teacher credentialed in that subject instead of a substitute teacher. Number three, vulnerable teachers will be safe. Number four, fewer staff members will be on campus, which equates to fewer opportunities for transmission of COVID-19, protecting our entire community. We should be receiving approximately $20 million from state and federal funds to offset COVID-related costs. We urge you to use these monies to secure substitutes for our teachers who are at high risk so that they may continue to fulfill their essential job duties of lesson planning and delivering instruction remotely, while the substitute assists with the job duty of student supervision on campus. If you force these teachers to use leave by not allowing a remote work accommodation, you will be denying students access to a highly qualified teacher in favor of a non-credentialed teacher. The state and federal governments recognize this group of students' needs by providing funds that enable highly qualified and fully credentialed teachers to engage and teach their students remotely. All that needs to be done is to use these funds for their intended purpose. Everyone wins in this scenario. Thank you, DTA. CSCA's comment. Good evening, board members. Happy New Year. We do not have a lot to share, but would like to start by introducing our new e-board members. We do have a new treasurer, Cindy Garcia, and a new communications pro, Max Hernandez. While we are still in the process of negotiating our return to learn MOU, we are hopeful that we will come to a fair agreement. We want to give a special thank you to Mandy Ballinger and Kim Gurdon for all their help with the summer assistance program. We are still continuing to build better communication at the site level and will continue to do so. We look forward to a new year and continuing to build relationships with the district and our classified staff. Sincerely, CSEA eBoard. So thank you both for your comments. Okay. So Mrs. Ham, would you like to read the donations?
Yes. Merced Union High School District wishes to thank the following who've made donations to specific campuses in this case. Yosemite Farm Credit, Jazzjeet Corporation, DBA Village Liquor, Monica Modest, Cindy Ramirez, and the Hanami Reddy Lockeretti Family Foundation.
Thank you. Next up, we have the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second
I'll second
it.
the motion.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Richard. Pick one.
Who would like to? Go
John.
ahead. John, okay. John seconds the motion. All right. Any questions or discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and call for a vote then, please. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have our long-range facilities master plan. Mr. Calderon.
President Pickle, thank you. Facilities master plan is an ongoing process that results in the creation of a comprehensive living document. Both the process and document are designed to ensure that the school and community-based plan is created through a consensus of participants in the facilities master planning process. The purpose of the plan is to develop and communicate an efficient process to change the district school facilities and to better accommodate and support.
Froze, Ralph.
He'll come back.
School facilities needs of the district.
Mr. Calderon, we're losing you.
He's interviewed 4 professional agencies who successfully submitted a response to the LRFMP RFP, SIM PBK architects presented a plan that deemed to be best suited for to meet the needs of the students, community, and the district. The superintendent recommends that the board approves the contract for SIM PBK architects to provide services for the development of the MUHSD facilities master plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
We missed a large portion of it. Ralph, you cut out, so I'm not sure if there was.
I apologize. It really is. It's in the. Do you want me to try to read it again, or
no?
No, I just wondered if there's anything that was crucial in the introduction that that we don't have, in front of us in our board docs that.
No, that is it. I was just reading a snippet of it.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I brought back both John Smith and Gary Geary to answer any questions should you have any.
We tried to cover every. Go ahead, Erin.
I was going to say, I had a lot of questions initially. I had more questions that Ralph was able to answer for me today. And I feel very comfortable with this plan and actually really appreciate the time and energy that's gone into finding this company to work with, modifying their original proposal from $430,000 to $250,000, and all that it encompasses, and money that it will most likely save our district from having a well-organized, thought-out plan with the resources that we need in place to make things happen in a timely and organized manner. So I want to make sure that, I know I in particular was a little bit hesitant about all of this initially, but thank you, Ralph and SIMPBK, for what you've put together and how you've explained it. And I'm in full support of moving forward with the plan.
So are you going to make a motion, Aaron?
I will move. Yeah, I was going to say, does anyone else have any comments before?
Yeah, I think John or Julio might.
Question, the companies right now is currently at our sites, right?
Well, we have visited all of your sites, but we're not doing any work on any of your sites right now. No.
Okay, I thought I saw your trucks at Livingston High School.
No, I don't drive a truck.
Not you, but it said CRT on it.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, we are SIMPBK.
Okay, then wrong ones.
Yep.
Thank you.
John, anything that you have or would like to add?
No, I had some concerns initially. I did some due diligence. I spent some time, a little more time reviewing, and then asked a couple questions. And I'm more comfortable. It's a big district. There's a lot of facilities. There's a lot going on. We got to keep things in good working order and not deal with emergencies. So I'm in favor. I think the price of the contract is fair for the amount of facilities that we're dealing with at this time. So I'll second the motion.
Was the motion made? Do we have a motion? Richard, did you make a
I thought Aaron
motion?
did.
Was that official?
Aaron, you want to make the motion?
Sure. I move to adopt the long-range facility master's plan contract for services with SIMPBK as outlined in our agenda today.
And now I will formally second the motion. I thought Aaron had made it already.
No problem. All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and call for a vote then, Mr. Roebuck.
I don't know if I have a chance to say anything here. Are we waiting for somebody else? This is John Smith.
It's too late, John. It's too
Was
late.
it too late?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man. Go
I was
ahead.
getting my peanut butter sandwich, and I'm just a little delayed.
The more you talk, we might change our minds.
Okay, never mind then. I was just
kidding.
gonna...
We are kidding. Sorry.
No, it's all yours, Mr. Smith. If you have anything you'd like to say.
Well, it's nothing brilliant or astute. I just wanted to thank you. We are really looking forward to working for you and with you and your community. We think we can give you a master plan that will really be a valuable tool. And we hope it's just the beginning of a very long relationship. I mean, that's really, we don't build buildings, we build relationships. And so we're very excited about the opportunity to build one with you. That's it.
Well, thank you. I think we're all excited about the prospects. So looking forward to it as well. So thank you to you and your company. Thank you, Mr. Calderon, to you and your staff.
Well, thank you very much. Won't let you down.
Thank you. And motion passes 5-0. So next we have superintendent goals. Mr. Peterson.
Thank you, President Pickle. I just want to make a quick statement that these are your goals for me. We reviewed these last month, so it is not my intention to review all of them tonight. If you want to make adjustments, add things, delete things, that is up to you. I want every board member to know I am comfortable with what is on the document, as long as there is an understanding that this is a 2-year process, and understanding that we are in the middle of a pandemic, or hopefully at the end of it, and that the district's focus and posture is going to be on learning loss, for quite a while. And in addition, I believe we can accomplish all of these goals. I know there was a little consternation last month that maybe too much was there. I will tell you this, there is a difference between the district creating and implementing processes and goals that the board wants to see, and principals and sites institutionalizing them. I'll give you an example, CTE. That was a 2.5 year, maybe 3-year process before we started really seeing the results from that a couple years ago. So the goals at the top, the first 3 or so, they're big like that. And you're not going to see them in the form of a CTE program. You're going to see them in the form of outcomes for students and how you see instruction delivered in our district. And we're dealing with human beings there, and those things take time. So I just want to be clear where I am, how I feel, and I want you to know that I'm comfortable with them.
Thank you. Any comments? I have something I'd like to throw out there, but I'm just wondering if there are any comments before I start.
I think for me, Tiffany, is just to make sure that we have, pausing points along the way where Alan can brief us on the progress of these goals. Obviously, 2 years to accomplish this, yes, is doable. Sooner than, it would be better. But nonetheless, obviously, as long as we're seeing progression towards completing these goals, and who knows, we may complete them, some sooner than others. But if Alan can put it on his calendar, that maybe quarterly or such, or just give us an update as to how you're progressing on the goals.
No problem.
I agree. I think that's a good idea. It keeps us all in the loop. And the idea of quarterly reports, I think, would be a great idea.
Richard, did you say quarterly?
Yes, Julio, yes.
Didn't he used to give us monthly reports?
No, we usually did it in August and December or January.
Okay.
I don't know if we'd have enough progress in each goal or even any one of the goals for a monthly report, but I think over a few months, there could feasibly be something to report on.
Yeah, quarterly works. It's fine.
Well, I would like to throw something out for the board. I would like to add or exchange a goal. And what I would like for us to add, I guess, would be expanded Wi-Fi infrastructure / access for students. I think that we've all experienced, lack of access, hiccups in our access. We have an expectation that students be able to connect now more than ever. And I know years back when the district first went to one-to-one Chromebooks and first started rolling out their technology, Wi-Fi access and hotspots were not part of the package. It wasn't something that was rolled out due to cost. And we have hotspots for our kids now, but we have them because we have the funding specific for that. That funding is going to go away, but the need for the access is going to remain. And I think we see that now more than ever. I think it's getting some attention that it finally deserves. But I don't know that we can wait for something, at a state level. We, promote ourselves and as a one-to-one district. We've adopted digital curriculum and continue to do so. And I think we need to give, some real hard attention and a real hard look at what we're able to provide our students for the expectation that we have, for them. We do them a disservice if we have this expectation, but we do not do anything to give them the tools that they need to be successful. So just wondering what your thoughts are.
Tiffany, and Alan, maybe you can add to this, but I know at the county level, when we met a few weeks back with with Dr. Tejan and staff, they had conducted that, I guess that research on the connectivity across Merced County. But Tiffany, I'm all for Merced Union High School District, and whatever we need to do, Alan, to get the ball rolling, at least for our kids. Not so much at the county level, more like Merced Union High School District level, and see whatever needs to happen. If maybe we can reach out to that same company or whomever did that research for them, and see what that broadband or whatever the bandwidth, whatever that is for our district and our needs would look like, and obviously cost, and if there's any gaps there where kids would not have access to internet because of where they're located. I mean, I think it's well worth striving for, Tiffany. Thank you for bringing that up.
Weren't we working on, wasn't the MCOE working on building some type of network?
Yes, and Dr. Tejan and I had a conversation this week, and he is more comfortable with our district leading this cause rather than the county, as am I. Tony Thomas is more than capable of leading in this aspect, along with Costa. And we need a cloud for, basically it's the 99 corridor. And it should be from Delhi, to Merced. And I say should be, meaning that all districts should want to participate in a consortium, because that will take the cost down, from Atwater Elementary, Merced City, Livingston Union, Winton, hopefully all of those districts will participate, and we can create a cloud over, we're never going to get 100%. We're going to have to use hotspots on the outlying folks, but we can get 90% coverage if we can cover within a couple miles of the cities. So yes, Mr. Valadez, to answer your question, MCOE has handed that task off to us. They will help us and assist us to get there, but we would like to take the lead, and I think it is an excellent idea to make this a goal.
What's the Wi-Fi coverage today?
Oh gosh. Costa, do you have any idea what that is? I have no idea, Aaron.
I'm just curious. I mean, one of the things that I feel like in looking at all of the goals, if you will, none of them are incredibly measurable. There's not a metric behind any of them. And so I feel like if we want to add something like the Wi-Fi, it's something along those lines to improve coverage to 90% or whatever we decide the number is.
Sure.
And I was hoping it would be more than 90%, but
yeah, and it may be 95%. I don't know what's realistic yet.
Okay. And I also think we need to have an idea of what the cost ramifications are behind that. How much will this cost, and how much of it can come from perhaps the aid that's available right now versus, becoming a line item in our budget from funding that we're going to have to find.
Yeah, we don't have the funding to fund this in our general budget. This needs to come out of the federal funding, which means it needs to happen now. And the project needs to be driven, and you know, things need to be happening by this fall.
So you will provide us more information soon?
Yeah, as I get it, yes. We just had this conversation yesterday.
It's an opportunity that we might not see again. And my feeling is just we need to take advantage of it if we can. I think the questions that that have been brought up would be part of that that whole plan. You know, that the cost and I like what you said. You know, a metric, Aaron, for what it is we're shooting for. So we have some target. But that's just my thought is we need to do something. Otherwise, we're going to be in the same position, you know, in a year that we've been in the last 10. And that's just not the direction that I think the district wants to go. It's not the direction anybody is headed in. And we just need to, I think, offer our students as much as we can in that area. Some of them, it's no fault of their own, you know, where they live. It just doesn't. The access does not exist for them, and we need to do something for them.
And just so the board is aware, the vast majority of the superintendents of the districts I just mentioned are in favor of this. So I think it will be a consortium, but if for some reason that were not to work out, we still need to move forward, you know, ourselves.
Alan, what are we envisioning here? Looking at options of building and owning infrastructure, of putting out an RFP to telecom companies and leasing facilities, paying people's bills so they can have Comcast at their house. I mean, what are we talking about?
It'll be an RFP to go out to the appropriate companies to basically create the additional towers that are needed to have, you know, 90 to 95% coverage. So the towers many of the towers are already there, Mr. Swigard. It is working with the telecom companies to attain access. Because what we're doing this year, I hope everyone understands, is simply not possible. We can't have a line item every year for $1.2 million for Wi-Fi's. You know, we were able to do it because of the federal funding. But we can knock out the problem, you know, with everybody pitching in with this round of funding, whether it's, you know, $2 million for our district, and you know, we paid based on enrollment. You know, we will work that out as superintendents.
And there are, I mean, I know this will be part of it, Alan, part of the whole plan or the proposal and the research and whatnot, but, you know, any, you know, long-term costs, you know, like John's, you know, referring to, you know, what do the out years look like, yeah, and so forth. So, I mean, I'm confident that all that will be part of what is brought back to us if we, you know, introduce this idea as part of the superintendent goals.
Well, and it's quite possible that I bring back to you in April that that we can't do it. That the ongoing costs are going to be too high. That's a possibility.
Yes. Yep. It is. Any other comments on the goals?
I have one on the next page of the goals, the top one. It says, focus on providing timely and accurate communications to family, staff, and community, et cetera. So I think the district has done a phenomenal job of providing communications to all of our constituents. But I think we're missing a component here, which is engaging them for feedback. We are pushing out information constantly. We are not asking for much in return. We're not pulling it back. And as a result, I think we're really lacking, we're just lacking a piece in our communications puzzle here. So if people are agreeable, I think we ought to change the verbiage here a little bit to not just providing communications, but soliciting feedback. I feel like in much of what we do, we come back and say, well, have we talked to students? Have we talked to families? Have we talked to staff? And I don't know that it's necessarily an afterthought, but it's not a forethought. And I think we need to much more proactively be doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I think all those things happen at the site level that sometimes doesn't creep up to us, but you know, the purchase of thought exchange and using that in a relevant, consistent manner will help. But I agree. We don't need to change the verbiage tonight. I can change that and get it out to you. I understand what you're asking for.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good point.
So unless other people have things they'd like to add or subtract or adjust, at this point, are you looking, Tiffany, for a motion to approve these goals with the modifications we've discussed, or?
I have one more comment, and it kind of piggybacks on what you were just saying, Aaron. It has to do with, you know, the engagement, the feedback, the voice, and that's the verbiage on the student voice goal. The way it's written, it's to me anyway, it still leaves the impression or that we're working toward the student board member, but I think our focus has been on overall student voice and maximizing the student voice as opposed to information coming from one person. So I'd like to look at the verbiage on that. I am all for the student voice, increasing the methods that we use, the resources that we use, the tools that we use, the frequency in which we do it. But this is something that is going to occur, kind of what Alan was just saying about the feedback maybe from parents. It's more site driven. And should it be, or could it be, you know, increasing student voice at the site level as it's reported to the board? I mean, we still want to get that information, but having it be more site driven.
Well, I think just increasing student voice period covers it. I mean, that's really what we're after. It doesn't matter whether it's the site or the district.
Yeah, it's going to be a little more site driven, but yeah, that's what we want. We want more feedback from the students, more opportunities for feedback from the students, a wider range of students being engaged in that. So that's just my thought on that. So I don't know if that translates to much of a change or not, but.
My feedback on that was also on student voice. It looks like it's being changed from the original intent as to involve the students in a way, well, by being a board member, and I know that we want the information not from one student, but that student would be the lead for different leads at each site and gather that information to one person or more. It just depends on how we end up doing that. So I would like that verbiage changed to, it's not just the student voice, but student board voice, student board voice.
Well, I think that's what it is right now, Julio.
Okay, student board member then.
I am in favor of increasing student voice, but not necessarily bringing a student to the table. That's my thought.
These are elected board positions. This is not a place for a high school student to be involved in policy making. Policy input is one thing, but voting on policy making for an entire high school district or any other local public agency that's not what we should be discussing.
Well,
they wouldn't, because they can't vote.
Yeah.
They would give us their opinion, and they're not really going to vote. They're just going to give us their information gathered from all the sites, and they would be more of a what do you call it? Well, I don't know what the right word is, but they would be involved, but their vote would not count, obviously. But I mean, would not count as a voice, but it would count as an opinion that we should look into, because it's coming from the students themselves. I mean, we showed lots of options that can be used and the way other districts do it. And matter of fact, I think I brought it up before, where the students actually are the ones doing the surveys, and coming from the students, a survey that comes from students is more useful, because the other students know it's coming from a peer, and they will be more likely to answer the questions, because the questions are written by them. So that's my opinion on that. And I think we should still have some type of student board member.
And we can still have that kind of input, definitely from students. I think we all want that. And Julio is correct. It's not a voting position. It's they're giving their thoughts on items before we take a vote.
I wonder, now that we've all, I'm going to say, suffered through so many Zoom meetings in the last almost year, one of the hurdles has always been in getting groups of students together across all of the different campuses. It's transportation and, there's a lot of logistics involved, but I wonder if we couldn't have like a student senate, and they could meet quarterly, whether it was on-site or off-site, on-site or via Zoom or what have you. And I don't know that this is something that the board needs to determine or decide, but just another suggestion is how to get our campuses working, our students working together across campuses, and being aligned and sharing best practices and that sort of thing. I know we saw in San Luis Obispo, they have a student senate like this. And I was really impressed with how they were utilizing it. And then maybe they come and report to the board once a quarter. And we get, further input that way. I don't know, just a thought, but I agree with everything that's being said. I think we just want to hear from students more. We want their input. We want their opinions. We want their suggestions. They are our number one priority, and we want to make sure we're meeting and exceeding their needs, not just academically.
And that's one of the ideas that had been brought up, is the one from that district, in addition to others. Because when we attended the conference in San Diego, and the other conferences as well, but I had pointed out to Alan and some of the other board members, if you could make it to those sessions that they had, because they really highlighted what they were doing, and it seemed like what they were doing was really working. So yeah, something similar to that, Aaron, or there's different ideas, but that's my original idea was something like that. Each high school has some type of a group, and then from that group there's one, whatever, I'm just gonna say leader, and then those leaders meet, however, like you said, on Zoom or in person when we're back to in person. And then from that group, they choose one board member or whatever you want to call it. But that was an idea. So it's kind of, you're right, it's kind of like a Senate as well. Whatever we want to call it, doesn't matter. It's the whole purpose of it is getting their feedback from all the sites, getting feedback from all the sites.
So would we be okay with changing it to increasing student voice?
I am.
That's fine.
Increasing student voice opportunities. And just to be clear, we have senates and Congress, they call them different things at different sites. And our leadership folks do get those groups together and they discuss the issues of the day. I think sometimes we get hung up on, that we want to be involved in that. And, remember that I do meet with students at every site every year around this time. And I meet with students, outgoing seniors in May. And all of you have, I believe all of you have participated in those meetings one way or another. So I think what I'm hearing is, tell me if I'm wrong, but increased student voice at all levels, or just increased student voice?
At all sites. And also, it would be better that the superintendent or the principals not choose who goes to these. They should be chosen by their peers, because then we get real feedback where. Yeah,
they do. They vote. It's a student-led thing.
Okay, well, the way I saw it last time, I didn't see that. It was.
Oh, you mean to my meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the seniors come. I always leave slots open for those that were not contacted by staff, because if I don't do that, Mr. Valadez, I might have one or two kids there.
Well, all I'm saying is that there is a lot of leaders, a lot of student leaders that I think are capable of choosing people that will participate. So I think that's all I'm saying is let them choose, and not the principals or the.
Yeah, understood.
And also, it would be good for them to meet with maybe just board members every once in a while, not necessarily me, but whatever, a few of us or however, or even you also too, but not the principals. Don't have a principal present. Not that they're doing anything wrong or anything, but it's just that the two students might give a more a different opinion if their principal's not present.
Well, if you've been to any of those, I'm not sure it ever mattered who was present. We have students that are very happy to share their opinion.
That is true. It could be pretty frank. So are we looking at increasing student voice opportunities at all levels? I think one of the things that you brought up, Julio, was it coming from the students and coming from more students, and that thought exchange is really another opportunity or another avenue or another tool that can be used that kids might be very willing to engage in, because they could just do it right there on their phone, as they're walking down the hall. And we have the potential to really, I think, get a lot of good information directly from the students. And so, through that type of verbiage, we can just increase those opportunities and then see what comes back to us.
That's fine. All I'm saying is that let's get direct. I think we're all kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully we do it in a way that the students themselves are able to give us their voice. Let's say that.
Okay, I think you're right. I think we all are pointing in the same direction on this.
Yeah,
Um,
just a suggestion, Tiffany, real quick, if I may interject. And this is more for Dr. Aguilar. You know, a lot of the times, and I know we already talked about this earlier, was about the LCAP meetings, and you know, their stakeholder, interest is typically, attended by adults. Maybe Costa can create a student-centered LCAP meeting where it's only students involved, and then we'll truly see at this point in time during this COVID crisis thing that's going on, how many students are going to take interest in the direction of the district. He's got his 8 areas that he's going to address, and and talk about the goals that Alan's got set before him, and to see how many students truly want to participate. I mean, to get them all involved or engaged in one specific location at this time can't happen. But just creating a meeting that's only centered on students with the direction of Dr. Aguilar, and just kind of seeing what that may look like, will give us, or give them the opportunity to showcase their voice on these various subject areas, and then, be site specific, and I think it accomplishes everything that we're trying to see right now, or trying to attain.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
And there's also different issues too when we're dealing with kids. Are there, confidentiality, privacy, anonymity, things like that would have to be factored in as well. But all good ideas. So, I mean, I think if we're confident with this, you guys, if you want to make a motion, then we can approve with the addition of a Wi-Fi goal and increasing the student voice, and then that verbiage can come back to us.
I'll make a motion to approve with the modifications. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone, for the input.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Okay, we'll call for a vote then, Mrs. Roebuck.
I am an aye. Leslie?
I am also, it's not coming up for me to vote, so
Okay, I can mark it for you.
thank you.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone. That's, I think, a pretty good, productive discussion. Next, we have Superintendent's report. Mr. Peterson.
Okay, thank you, President Pickle. And yes, that was a very good conversation. Thanks for everybody's input. I want to thank all the visual art teachers and Principal Theodosio for their presentation tonight. As you know, all of us are huge proponents of all of our extracurricular activities. And, even though students can't physically be there, it's great to see that the show goes on. So a shout out to all those instructors that are keeping the faith and keeping students connected during this distance learning. As you know, we are on pause or a soft close, so to speak. At our conference call yesterday, the county health department basically stated that we are in a holding pattern. There was good news though, and the Christmas and New Year's surge that they were expecting is not happening at the level they thought it would. That's great. There were a few days last week that hit 300 per day, but the average is holding at about 250. And that's a good thing. They are not willing to say that we have peaked yet, but there certainly are indicators that things are leveling off in our county, and that is something we all look forward to. With the regards to learning loss, that's a huge conversation, one that will continue into next month. I just want to thank Dr. Aguilar and his team for being so diligent. It's going to be a multi-year process. There were some comments about CTE teacher salaries at the last board meeting. I just want to bring clarity to that issue. We have had 2 CTE teachers leave our district that I know of. One for a career change and one for various reasons. That said, there needs to be a clear path for salary advancement for CTE teachers. The union is aware of the issue. We have discussed it, and they have stated that they want to solve it also. So I think we will get this solved in the next few months. With regard to athletics, I have shared with you, and I will be sharing with all of our athletic staff tomorrow, the plan. It was reviewed with county superintendents this morning. Everyone was very appreciative and thankful that we're not going to sit here and drag our feet and wait for other people to make decisions. If this is going to happen, folks, we have to make it happen. And that's what's going on in our county. I will be sharing the plan tomorrow at 3:15 with our principals, our ADs, and our athletic coaches. If any of you would like to participate in that, please let Leslie know and she can send you a link. I expect ABC Channel 30 to do a story on that tomorrow also. And I'll be frank, I am hoping that what we are doing pushes CIF to, move forward and make some decisions. The bottom line is we have to do it as a county. Cross-county leagues are simply just not going to work this year. I want to comment on the events that happened last week. When something as historic and tragic as rioting in our nation's capital, at our nation's capital, or rioting anywhere, we just can't ignore it and carry on as usual. We need to check in with our students and provide opportunities, provide the space so they can express themselves, their emotions, and get their questions answered. We have an obligation to do that as educators. And sometimes I need to make that clear and to give staff permission to do that or encourage them to do that. And certainly while not all are comfortable, many are, but some are hesitant with these conditions. And I want people to be comfortable, even-handed and fair, but I also want them to give students space to have the conversations that need to be had. The bottom line is we need to model what it means to be an American citizen. We are on the verge of turning the corner. I am feeling positive about that. I know it doesn't feel that way right now, but I think this time next month could be a very different conversation. I certainly hope it is. So we will be staying the course until February 1st, and that will be our next benchmark date as far as making any changes. Any comments from any board members? Questions?
No, Alan, just real quick, I think for me, and we've had a discussion before, is that as soon as public health gives us the green light to get back and hit the classrooms, obviously with parent choice that we do so. I think we've had that conversation in depth many times now as far as, wanting kids back. And I know the numbers, don't show that right now or reflect that, the percentages, but I think that the sooner the better for students. So thank you.
I concur with Mr. Lopez on that. I would like to see us go back to choice as soon as the public health guidelines will allow for that. And thank you.
Understood.
I do have a comment. I don't think that the superintendent should be giving his political view to staff and teachers. I think politics should stay out on all sides. I mean, if we want to do something about it, that one we have brought up doing ethnic studies at all sites, and that has really not happened. We have one site which is Atwater with one teacher. And my question is, how do students find out about that right now?
Yeah, I just want to comment on your comment. And if anyone thought that was political, you or anyone else, I am certainly sorry. It was not political. It was a humanistic American comment. And I know you might disagree with the need for a superintendent to say that to his staff. We can agree to disagree on that. With regard to ethnic studies, it's offered online right now. Mr. Aguilar can comment on how many students are in there, but there was not a huge desire for that class across the district, or at least at every site.
Well, I think like I said, we need Dr. Aguilar. How do students find out that we actually have this course available?
Yes, Mr. Valadez. So we started the registration process with all of our students just upon the return in January. The deadline that has been given to all the sites to have their registration complete is the third week of February, and counselors are going out now virtually and sharing all the different course offerings and asking for students to sign up. And there are opportunities for students to, select the courses they want. So, like for example, ethnic studies is on a course registration form where all the courses and all the options are given to students. So it's simply students selecting the course.
So the question though is how do we put the word out that we have that? Because it's only in Atwater, and then how does a student, like for example, whatever, my son wants to do it, but he doesn't know anything about it. He wants to take the course, but he doesn't know anything about it.
So, every site, has that, whatever course it is. So if a student is interested in ethnic studies or medical technologies or, woodshop 1, they would go first to their counselor to get any advanced information on the course. And if they really have specific informations or they want specific information, they can just contact the department chair there at the school.
Is anything sent out to students to let them know that it's there, and then they would go to their counselor and get the details? Is there a mass email? Hey students, we have this online course, see your counselor if you're interested.
Yeah, all the sites have also done a virtual course fair. Typically what sites do is they have incoming freshmen and current students come on campus to do a course fair, and teachers have the opportunity to quote unquote sell their course to all the students, and they have the opportunity to ask the teachers questions about the course. Well, because of the situation we're in, all those are being done virtually now. So teachers have created YouTube videos like what you saw tonight with the visual and performing arts. That's a type of promotional video that is shared among students so that they get an idea of what visual and performance is, and they see other students in it, right, getting their feedback.
All right. Well, like I said, in light of what's going on, I think we should make that a priority and have it at all sites. I mean, if we have to put it on the agenda, what do we need to do to really consider this at all sites?
Students need to want to take the class. That's what needs to happen. That's how we do things.
But if you're doing this differently with your comment. You said you are taking let's say You're using a situation that happened to teach, in quotation marks, our students how to be better citizens, right? But we first have to teach them to learn about everybody else as well. So we got to teach everyone about everyone, and this should be included in ethnic studies. So it's not, so if you're I don't want to use forcing your opinion on students on how to be better citizens. Why not have a class that teaches them that, with that, that includes all ethnicities.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's what I'm saying.
I understand, and a lot of that I don't disagree with. But for an elective course, students have to want to take the course. And I want to be clear that the current course is not just at Atwater High School. It's an Atwater High School teacher that teaches to all students in the district that
Yes,
want to take that course.
Right, I know, I do know that. It's just that the word is not getting out to all the sites, as far as I've heard.
So maybe it just needs to be, can we just make a comment that we want to look at increasing the communications to students about these virtual electives that that are offered, across sites, so that, because it is available, it is an elective, it's not a required course, so there has to be some interest, but yes, they have to know about it in order to sign up for it. So can we just make that request then, that we maybe increase the communications to students, but students also have to listen, they have to read their email, they have to do those things also.
I don't know if that would be enough. I think that maybe we do it as a graduation requirement, so that we really do what we're saying we're trying to do by giving our opinions, is really teach students about the different cultures, the different, I'm not going to repeat myself, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But I think we should look into making it a requirement, at least one course on ethnic studies. I don't know what the process is. You all know I'm not from the education side. That's why I'm asking you guys who are in education, how that would be done.
Well, I think right now, Julio, it's right now it's, a comment. It's not an agendized item for us to discuss or make a decision on at this point. But if there aren't any other additional comments or questions from Mr. Peterson regarding specifically items in his report, then we can move on to the board comments.
Okay, well, I would like to have it on the agenda then, so we can talk about it on how to do it. And back to Alan's comment, he did apologize, said he doesn't want to make it political, but we've had other situations throughout the years and nobody said anything until recently. So I think if we're going to say something, we need to say it all the time, or stay out of politics, period.
Okay, your comment is noted. So I'm going to move us along then to board comment. Mr. Lopez, do you have anything?
Yeah, just real quick. Thank you, Alan and Ralph, Dr. Weimer, Dr. Aguilar, for having that dialogue now to address our CTE teachers and hopefully get them on a better pathway to keep them, retain them. I look forward to attending some of the LCAP meetings, Dr. Aguilar, and and being engaged there too. I want to thank our nursing staff who have participated in and taken the vaccinations, and then we'll also be helping administer the vaccinations in the coming months. And obviously, thank all of our staff for continuing to do the job that they're doing, and hopefully the numbers start to dwindle so that we can get back to in-person teaching as much as possible, with obviously parent and student choice. And last but not least, thank you, Alan. I think we developed a good set of goals for you to accomplish in these next 2 years. I look forward to the updates and look forward to the work, and everybody continue to be safe. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mrs. Ham.
I really just want to say and acknowledge our district for all that it has accomplished in spite of or in light of this pandemic. And while I think a lot of districts have been overwhelmed, couldn't cope, buried their heads in the sand, what have you, our district has never stopped. And major kudos, Alan, to you, to your staff, and to all of the district staff for staying positive, for thinking outside the box, for finding new solutions. I mean, it's truly a testament that we're going to be one of the first to get athletics going, and that what our district has proposed will hopefully put some pressure on CIF to get things going, so that all of our kids can get back to doing the things that they love, not just what they have to do in the classroom. I was really appreciative of what Mr. Theodosio shared about initiatives being taken for engagement at Atwater High, and very appreciative of what the virtual arts programs have done. And of course, we saw the different band performances at Christmas. And, so again, I just think our district has done some really exceptional and extraordinary things in light of the challenges. And this is the example that we want to set for our children, right? You don't give up. You don't go to bed forever. You rise to the occasion. You face the challenge head on and make the absolute best out of it you can. Find the opportunities and the silver linings. And that's what I think our district has done incredibly well. So I think we are very lucky as a board to have the leadership that we have, that our staff and students are lucky. And I hope that I know that we will continue on this path. And Tiffany, your example on the Wi-Fi too, again, just our district leading in times of crisis, not just for our students, but for our greater community. So thank you, Alan, and everyone. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Mr. Valdez? Did he leave us?
Mrs. Pickle, I got a text message from him that said he's trying to get back in. Maybe if you go to someone else first.
Okay, I would be the last one, because I think
Okay.
Mr.
You said he got disconnected again.
Okay, because I think John is out also.
Okay.
See if we can get Julio back on.
So the email text I'm getting is it's a network issue. So that's not on our end.
No. Well, I'll go ahead and make my comments then. If he can join us before we adjourn, then that would be fantastic. I'm not going to reiterate everything that was said, but I do agree. I also want to thank everyone for their discussion, presentations tonight. I think we had a productive evening. Thank you to Mr. Peterson and your staff and your efforts for doing what you can to try to salvage athletics for our kids, to try to give them some semblance of normalcy for this year. So very much appreciated. I know that's not an easy task. It looks quite complicated. So thank you for that. I also want to make a comment for all board members. Next week we have a special board meeting, and one of the items on that agenda is our board protocols. And I hope that all board members are able to attend. I know there have been some questions, and Julio, you're not here, but if you're listening, I know you have had specifically some questions regarding board protocols, and that is the opportunity and our time to discuss those. So I hope we're able to attend. I hope we have a productive discussion because that is what guides our actions. And whether we're there or not, we do support the collective decision of the board. So with that, I have nothing else. Are there any other comments? Okay. Well, then thank you everybody for attending. Everyone can go home and make their peanut butter and jelly sandwich now. And we will adjourn Mrs. Horbach at 7:48. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Good night.